How's it going, everybody? Gaurav, Bhatt and Mihir Vasavda here. You're listening to the Express Sports Podcast and it's game time. In 2008, Mukesh Ambani paid $111.9 million US to buy Mumbai Indians in the IPL, one of the most high-profile franchises in the T20 league. 13 years down the line, 25th of October 2021, the newcomers Lucknow franchise went for a price 9 times more than that. On Monday, at the auction to decide these two new franchises in the Indian Premier League, Lucknow became the most valued team ever as the Sanjeev Goenka-led RPSG group won the bid for Lucknow at approximately 7,000 crore Indian rupees, that is over 932 million US dollars. The other newcomers, Ahmedabad, got pocketed by one of the world's leading sports investors, CVC Capital, at approximately INR 5,200 crore, that is over 692 million US dollars. Mihir, mind-boggling, dizzying numbers, of course, but it's also a clear sign that the IPL, this flagship tournament of BCCI, has gone truly global. I mean, blueprint तो खैर हमेशा से it was always that classic US sports का ecosystem जहाँ वही teams आपस में खेलती रहती हैं, no promotions, relegations. But what do you think? Is IPL going, full steam ahead in that direction?
It is, but before I get into that, Gaurav, I just hope that the initial blooper isn't edited out because हम ऐसे numbers की बात करने वाले throughout this episode, at least half of this episode, I think एक आध million ऊपर नीचे तो I think होने ही वाला. तो yeah, this is a request to शशांक कि गौरव का initial error जो है उसे edit out ना किया जाए क्योंकि हमसे भी काफी होने वाले हैं और and with that disclaimer aside, I think you're spot on, Gaurav. We are headed into a decade जहाँ पर I think it is inevitable कि IPL will become the main thing in cricket. This is just the start of IPL's expansion. 8 से अभी 10 टीम हुई है. हम देखेंगे कि अभी 60 से 74 मैचेस हो जाएंगे. 14 matches मतलब you're adding at least 2 more weeks to the tournament. And this is just 2021-22. I wish that game time continues till 2030. And I wish that we'll have some more sponsors by then, hopefully, so that I signal our growth as well in terms of podcast. But in 2030, I'd be very interested to see IPL साल के कितने महीने लेती है and कितने matches खेले जाते हैं. I think it will be extremely different from what it is today.
यार मिहिर, एक जो डिस्कोर्स इस ऑक्शन और ये ऑफ कोर्स बिड्स के अराउंड था कि यार ऐसा भी टाइम आएगा, एंड आई एम गेसिंग यू आर आल्सो हिंटिंग एट दैट कि 5-6 महीने भी आईपीएल साल में खेले जाएंगे. आई नो दैट यू हैव सेड इट ऑलरेडी बाय 2030, बट अब यार ये रिपरकशंस वगैरह तो हम एक और ही एपिसोड में पूरा डिस्कस कर सकते हैं. बट इंप्रेशंस, फर्स्ट रिएक्शंस, व्हाट डू यू थिंक कि अगर इफ वी हैव टू अकोमोडेट आईपीएल 5-6 महीने के लिए इन अ ईयर, व्हाट गोज आउट द विंडो? क्या चीज होगा जो कि आई थिंक बाहर जाएगा?
Test cricket will stay, Gaurav. I think in some format or the other, some way or the other, Test cricket will stay. I was talking to some of the industry experts, people who the franchisees, the BCCI consult while taking these massive decisions. I spoke to a few of them just an hour or two after the 2 new teams were announced. And the first reaction, which was rather unanimous, was कि 50 overs सबसे पहले बलि देगा. And I think one of the things that people are expecting, which is also a very fair and logical expectation, is कि 2023 50 over World Cup के बाद, the edition that will be held in India, we will, or we might is a better word right now here, so we might see India cutting down its 50 over engagements massively. शायद एक आध कोई token 50 over series हो जाए against the likes of Australia and England, but apart from that, I think we'll see that 50 over cricket will die slowly and gradually, or perhaps faster than we would imagine in the coming years. And at the same time, T20 will pick up. I mean, we are anyway seeing a trend that more countries are picking up T20. We are expecting that 2028 May T20 will be included in the Olympics. So it's all pointing towards the fact that IPL will become a 4 to 6 month tournament, not immediately, but over a period of time, perhaps by the end of this decade. And 50 over will die its natural death, and Test and T20 could be the only versions remaining.
Yeah, it's a shame, yeah. I digress a little either, but I've always maintained कि 50 over, it's a format that doesn't get its due काफी ज़्यादा. I know purists, and for good reason, they prefer Test or T20 again, जो mass appeal है. But 50 over, that format is something that Mihir, you and I have grown up on, right? And उसमें एक वो I especially जो लोग लल बोलते थे या जो लोग बोलते थे cut the flap, cut the fat, जो middle overs होते थे, आई एक्चुअली लाइक दोज पार्ट्स की स्टार्टिंग ये 10 ओवर, पहले तो 10 ओवर था, खैर फिर 15 ओवर आपने रन मारे, उसके बाद यूर कंसोलिडेटिंग, यूर बिल्डिंग, एंड स्पिनर्स आर ऑपरेटिंग, इट्स ऑलवेज द मैच इज बीइंग टेकन टू इट्स कंक्लूजन दो यू डोंट रियलाइज. तो वो एक बहुत ब्यूटीफुल एक मिडिल ओवर्स का पीरियड होता था. बट अगेन वो तो मैं खाली रो रहा हूँ इसलिए ये बातें निकल रही हैं मुंह से. बट मेयर इफ वी हैव टू ब्रेक डाउन दीज नंबर्स व्हिच लाइक यू मेंशन्ड एट द टॉप ऑफ द एपिसोड, काफी इट्स एन अंडरटेकिंग. बट speaking to the Indian Express, Sanjeev Goenka, he sort of explained the fine print in his group's bid. He said ki, and I quote, you pay the BCCI rupees 700 crore a year and you will get rupees 390 crore a year from them by way of broadcast rights, sponsorships and all that. So you are effectively paying a net of rupees 310 crore from year 2 onwards, Goenka told Shamik Chakraborty, our cricket correspondent. मिहिर, ये तो आरपीएसजी का बात हो गया और उनका थोड़ा स्ट्रैटेजी का बात हो गया. बट द अदर बिग फिश दैट वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट, द सीवीसी कैपिटल ग्रुप, दे आर वन ऑफ वर्ल्ड्स लीडिंग स्पोर्ट्स इन्वेस्टर्स, राइट?
They are. And before actually, Gaurav, I go into CVC and their commitment or interest in Indian sport, I think थोड़े numbers जो एक underline करते हैं IPL के trajectory को, and also it gives us some डायरेक्शन कि हमें आगे किस तरफ देखना चाहिए, राइट? आई एम एक्सट्रीमली बैड विथ नंबर्स, सो पता नहीं कहाँ आई मिस अ जीरो और एड एन एक्स्ट्रा जीरो, सो आई होप इट डजंट हैपन बिकॉज यहाँ पर एक्स्ट्रा जीरो वुड टोटली चेंज द डेफिनेशन. पर हम अगर जो बात करें 2008 की, राइट, व्हेन आईपीएल स्टार्टेड, तभी बीसीसीआई कितना ऑलमोस्ट 2900 करोर्स अर्न किया था फ्रॉम द सेल ऑफ 8 फ्रेंचाइजीज. जब 2 नए फ्रेंचाइजीज ऐड किए थे, पूना एंड कोची, तभी those 2 franchisees were sold for 3,230 crores. Now we are talking about 2 franchisees being sold for a collective 12,700 odd crores. So that is one pointer कि IPL कितना grow हुआ in the last 10 years. Another indicator about IPL's growth are the TV deals and the sponsorship. Now, media rights, the TV deals is where IPL and the franchisees get majority of the revenue. In 2008, IPL sold their 10-year deal for 8,200 crores. In 2017, when the term was renewed, 2022 for the cycle of 2018 to 2022, Star paid 16,347 crores for the 5-year cycle. And now it is speculated for the next 5-year cycle, which will be from 2023 to 27, it could go as much as up to $5 billion. So, जो BCCI का एक revenue था initially in 2008, which was 8,400 crores, in 2017 it suddenly became 19,500 crores. So that is the monetary growth of IPL. Why I'm saying this, it shows why someone like a CVC, who have owned Formula One in the past, who have invested billions of dollars, around $3 billion in principle, they've invested in La Liga, the Spanish league. They have up to $800 million of investment in professional rugby. And now they're coming to IPL. And this is probably the reason. I mean, Nandan Kamath, a renowned sports lawyer who's been involved in IPL and consulting teams as well in the past, he gave us an idea ki both for Goenka, who will have the Lucknow team, and for CVC, who will be based in Ahmedabad, unke kya motives honge. So Goenka, he said, could be in for the long term. They've been in IPL in the past. They've got a taste of how the league is. So they are in for the long term. For CVC, like a proper private equity firm, they'll come in, stay for 7 to 10 year period, and then pull out, then exit. And CVC's reputation has been that they're ruthless in terms of going after profit. And that's what they'll do. And all indicators are in the next 5 to 10 years, IPL is going to explode monetarily. Indian economy, both sporting and digital, is going to explode economically. And it makes perfect sense for them to enter IPL at this stage.
Yeah, thank God we don't do a video podcast, because while you were going about डिशिंग आउट दोज नंबर्स, मेरा तो मतलब जॉ ही नहीं निकल पा रहा था वापस जमीन पे से। इट्स सो फैसिनेटिंग कि ऐसा लगता है 2008 के जो 2000 करोड़ और 8000 करोड़ की जो हम बातें करते हैं वो तो फिर चिंदी पैसा लगता है।
मतलब चिल्लर है वो भी। इट्स ऑलमोस्ट लाइक वो अंदाज अपना अपना में चिल्लर लेके जो भी जाते हैं गोगो के पास छुड़ाने।
मेरे जो दो फ्रेंचाइजेस भी इन दो पार्टीज के पास गए हैं, खैर द संजीव गोयनका ग्रुप दे बिड फॉर बोथ द फ्रेंचाइजेस लखनऊ एंड अहमदाबाद, बट इवेंचुअली ये भी इंपॉर्टेंट है कि लखनऊ जो एक टाइप से अब नॉर्दर्न आउटपोस्ट बन जाएगा अलॉन्ग विद दिल्ली फॉर द आईपीएल, वहां पे ऑलरेडी आरपीएसजी का काफी प्रेजेंस है चंडीगढ़ एरिया में, एंड अहमदाबाद आई थिंक वर्क्स फॉर सीवीसी कैपिटल लाइक यू सेड की गेट मनी, जो कि अगेन टू बोरो वर्ड चिल्लर है इन द लार्जर स्कीम ऑफ थिंग्स जो गेट मनी रहता है, बट अगेन वो अगर 1.32 लाख का कैपेसिटी है मोटेरा स्टेडियम का, सो आई थिंक दैट आल्सो वर्क्स आउट इन देयर फेवर, राइट?
हाँ यार, I mean, for a franchisee, gate money is one of the ways to earn revenue. Others being उनके individual sponsors, central revenue from the IPL that they get. So gate money becomes a very crucial part, even though larger scheme of things में it might seem a very inconsequential figure. I mean, अगर जो हम basic गौरव इसमें math करें, अगर जो 1,30,000 odd capacity है, उसमें से अगर जो 60,000 people भी buy tickets and go for a match,
right?
And if you take the average cost of a ticket at 1,000 rupees, then what you're talking about 6 crores of ticket revenue or 60 crores? I think 6 crores.
Yeah.
Hell,
6 crores.
I think people smarter than us will figure that out, but whatever. I think 6 crores. So I mean, and ये तो bare minimum है, right? I mean, 6 crores आपके gate receipts में ही आपको एक match से मिल रहे हैं, and you will be playing 11 matches at home, so that is almost 66 crores from tickets itself.
Yeah,
it makes total sense for them. And Ahmedabad, yeah, it's like a city where people will spend to watch a cricket match. It's a one sport city. I think most other cities in India at least have a couple of sports which they are crazy about. Ahmedabad is one sport city. So for CVC, in terms of revenue generation, I think Ahmedabad is a perfect market.
ऑलराइट, मूविंग ऑन। अब आप लोग सोच रहे होंगे कि यार T20 वर्ल्ड कप चल रहा है, उस बारे में हम लोग इतना ज्यादा बात क्यों नहीं कर रहे हैं? उसके दो रीजंस हैं कि एक तो वी हैव अ T20 वर्ल्ड कप स्पेसिफिक mini series. This edition, it's called the World Cup Locker Room. You can catch it the morning after every India game, where Shamik Chakravarti, our man on the ground, he joins us for a conversation breaking down the latest India performance and what went wrong or what went right. और दूसरा रीजन ये है कि the World Cup itself has been a relatively boring affair so far. We're recording this on Wednesday, 27th of October. हो सकता है कि यार बांग्लादेश इंग्लैंड को हरा दे this afternoon and the tournament opens up. But apart from that, India versus Pakistan match, which we previewed in the last game time, we will talk about that, of course. And more importantly, we'll talk about the fallout in a bit, the Mohammed Shami stuff, which is unsurprising, of course. But even before that, the Quinton de Kock episode. South Africa and West Indies played a match on Tuesday. And South African players, they issued a statement. They wanted to take the knee in support of the Black Lives Matter movement. And Quinton de Kock made himself unavailable to play the game. So certainly it became a talking point, na?
It did, not surprisingly. And it does put Quinton de Kock's future in the team thoda sa in doubt. That's what at least the word is from South Africa. Going ahead, they'll figure out how to deal with this, because for their players, it's become mandatory to take the knee before every match. That's what Cricket South Africa has said. It's a crazy thing, yeah. I mean, I was reading a piece by the South African writer Telford Weiss. It appeared in Crickbuzz, and he has put into perspective the whole social and historical point of view of the whole racial issues in South Africa, and why Quinton de Kock's decision of not taking the knee assumes a lot of significance. Simple point being कि आपने apartheid era से बाहर निकल के आए हो. He is representing a team, a national team of a country where 80% of the population is black. And he has this line basically which sums it up. He's saying that de Kock is indicating effectively that he does not play for them. And who beyond overt and covert racists could celebrate that? I think it is a point, it is a line that drives this whole issue home, whole point home.
ये जो knee taking है, like you explained, in South Africa, it's got a reason, yeah. It's not for earning brownie points on social media या फिर joining in because it seems to be in vogue. वहाँ पे पिछले एक साल में काफी बड़ा रेवोल्यूशन, आई थिंक काफी बड़ा रेकनिंग हुआ है, वेयर यू नो देयर इज द क्रिकेट साउथ अफ्रीका सोशल जस्टिस एंड nation building committee who've been hearing testimonies from black players and other players of color जो बता रहे हैं कितना discrimination था, एक 4-5 white players का click था when they were playing, team में काफी ज्यादा derogatory remarks थे, they were called brown shit and whatnot, and Mark Boucher, who was supposedly part of that clique, though he claimed to not know of any such clique, he explained that certain mistakes happened from the white players because they were quote unquote ill-equipped for the post-apartheid challenges. So, इस सब के backdrop में this movement made a lot of sense, and also commendable is the fact यार कि ये सब हुआ and it became a talking point. ठीक है, match तो थोड़ा फिर इसके background में ही चला. West Indies lost the match, of course, the defending champions. South Africa opened their account in the tournament, but वो सब यार इतना academic record के लिए हो गया कि throughout the match, the conversation shifted to what Quinton de Kock did and the Black Lives Matter movement and the challenges in South Africa. Ki the fast bowler Andrich Nortje was supposed to be at the presser. And the South African captain, Temba Bavuma, who is a black cricketer, he took all the questions and he was very statesmanlike in his remarks. He fielded every question. हर चीज का पूरा उन्होंने ढंग से जवाब दिया. He said, as a team, we are surprised and taken aback by the news. Quinton is a big player for the team, so not having that at my disposal as captain is obviously something. He also said that Quinton is an adult, he is a man in his own shoes, we respect his decision, but basically says that as much as you have the choice to decide what you want to do, you cannot escape the consequences of the choices and decisions we make, which in itself is a very strong, a very nice statement from Bavuma.
A quick note before we go on. Shortly after Gaurav and Mihir recorded this episode, Quinton de Kock issued a statement saying that he was deeply sorry for all the hurt, confusion and anger he had caused by refusing to take the knee before the match. He also added that he is not a racist and that he would be more than happy to take the knee if it helps to educate others and make the lives of others better.
Mihir, इसी सबके contrast में यार, and I wanted to save this one for the last. The India versus Pakistan match played out. हमने preview में बोला था कि यार, as whatever sports fans या as Pakistan fans, we would like Pakistan to win.
How naive were we?
I know. थोड़ा मतलब कुछ तो पता था कि बात बनेगा, कुछ उठेगा, but ये नहीं पता था कि यार ये एक इतना बड़ा टॉकिंग पॉइंट बन जाएगा ड्यूरिंग द मैच, आफ्टर द मैच, वेयर कहीं कोई पटाखे फोड़ रहा है, ऐसी खबरें आ रही हैं, कुछ भी हो रहा है. बट what happened was India suffered a thrashing. Yeah, there's no other way to describe it. An absolute hammering. 10-wicket loss to Pakistan. For the first time in their T20 life, Pakistan won a match by 10 wickets. For the first time, India lost a match by 10 wickets. बस यार उस लॉस के दौरान Mohammed Shami, our pace spearhead along with Jasprit Bumrah, he was a tad bit expensive. जो भी इतना कोई expensive भी नहीं था यार. एक लास्ट के 1-2 ओवर में जब the batsmen were well set, they took to him. They finished the job with a couple of boundaries on his over. बट उसके बाद में द सॉर्ट ऑफ विट्रियल जो सोशल मीडिया पे देखने को मिला, वो भी अगेन इट वाजंट, शायद आपको भी पता है, हमें तो पता ही है, वो भी ऐसा नहीं है कि बहुत सरप्राइजिंग है या डिडंट एक्सपेक्ट इट, बिकॉज मेयर आई थिंक यही पॉइंट हम लोग भी डिस्कस कर रहे थे यार रिकॉर्डिंग से पहले कि इट्स ऑलमोस्ट अनफॉर्चुनेट कि ड्यूरिंग अ मैच वेयर वी आर सपोजिटली हैप्पी, कि मैं देख भी रहा हूँ कोई डंडा मारने ना आ जाए, बट वी आर सपोजिटली हैप्पी कि Pakistan is cruising and they are about to win the match. When Shami gets hit for a couple of fours or a couple of sixes, kahin na kahin there's a small portion in our brain, in our heart, which knows कि यार ये गलत हो गया, मतलब अब ये किसी और तरफ चली जाएगी बात. And it's eerily similar to how I think both of us must have been thinking when Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho and Bukayo Saka, they stepped up to take the penalty against Italy in the Euro 2020 final and they all missed. और उसी टाइम भी हमें पता था कि ये conversation, ये narrative किस तरफ चला जाएगा. It's very unfortunate. I can't speak for you, but I know कि ये हमें दिमागी उस तरफ जाना हमें पता है. That's the state of the discourse nowadays. Secondly, what do you feel about this entire Shami situation and especially how the team handled it? We'll talk about the cricket fraternity and everybody else who stepped up, but जिस हिसाब से टीम ने हैंडल किया, what do you make of this entire situation?
यार टीम ने तो हैंडल ही नहीं किया कुछ, मतलब
right, touche.
They haven't said a word. I can imagine the situation which would have been in the dressing room. Like a somewhat similar thing had happened during the Olympics, Gaurav, जब one of our hockey players, Vandana Kataria, after the team lost the semi-finals to Argentina, her family in Haridwar they were abused. Casteist slurs उन पे hurl किए गए थे, and it became a big issue. The hockey team, most of the players, I assumed they would give some reaction, say something in support of Vandana, but it turned out that a lot of them were completely disconnected from social media. They didn't know what was happening back home, and hence they were not in a position to immediately know कि gravity of the situation क्या है, and as a consequence वो बाहर आके support नहीं कर पाए. I don't know अगर जो उन्हें पता रहता तो करते या नहीं, but वो hypothetical scenario में मैं नहीं जाऊंगा. So I'm first curious to know कि within the Indian cricket team उनका social media use को लेकर क्या exactly status है in terms of World Cup. I don't follow their Twitter handles so closely. So I'm not sure if they've been using their Twitters and Instagram during the World Cup. If they have and then have ignored the whole Shami issue, then it's a crying shame. I know it's very easy for people to say कि यार ये तो चलो Twitter पे है, Instagram पे है, and ये सब वहाँ पर तो होते रहता है and blah blah blah. But I think it's not just that, यार. I think Twitter और Instagram पे जो thinking है, it is very much reflecting on ground reality. And I think it's a shame, yeah. I mean, it's a shame because हम में से काफी सारे लोगों ने, you and me for sure, and I'm sure plenty of people who are listening to this, उन्होंने भी शायद कहीं ना कहीं ये सोचा होगा कि यार this is not going to go in the right direction. Once Shami was getting hit in around the park, and former players, यार, you saw how former players reacted, no?
Yeah, absolutely. एक तो थोड़ा टाइम लगा खैर, but at least the former players stood up to Shami's time. But the great former player, the one and only Sachin Tendulkar, he called Shami a committed, a world-class bowler. But he also adds almost this caveat. He says कि यार he had an off day like any other sports person can have. Now, Mihir, what do you make of this statement, यार? माने we're talking about a guy जिसको लोग गालियां दे रहे हैं, रिलीजन पे, फैमिली तक चली जाती है बात, आप ट्वीट्स वगैरह ऑब्वियसली मतलब ना ही ढूंढे तो बेटर है, बट ये सब होता है. उसके बाद में अगर आपके इतने बड़े एक कोट अनकोट भगवान है क्रिकेट के, ही सेज कि यार ऑफ डे हो गया था, चलो माफ कर दो. इट्स ऑलमोस्ट अपोलोजेटिक, यार ऑफ डे हो गया इसलिए इसको गाली मत दो. मतलब आई डोंट नो व्हाट पॉइंट ऑफ दैट सेंटिमेंट वाज इन दिस सपोर्ट ऑफ शमी.
I think वो यार जो मतलब the only conclusion inference that we can draw from this is कि अगर जो off day नहीं रहता तो शायद गाली देना ठीक था. That's what I think Tendulkar meant from this. It's ridiculous यार. I mean, yeah, off day हो या ना हो, stoop down to this level. It's disgusting, plain disgusting. और कुछ मेरे पास words नहीं है. I mean, yeah, चलो, fair enough. I think Tendulkar, Sehwag, after Sehwag said something extremely stupid, he came up with this, extremely hypocritical as well, in a way. I think Gambhir wrote a column in one of the newspapers talking about jingoism, kaise kam hona chahiye, blah, blah, blah. But I think no one really addressed the issue as it is supposed to be addressed. And that is unfortunate.
I think the only person who addressed the issue as it was supposed to be addressed was, in fact, you, Mr. Vasavda, where you posted a strong statement on our WhatsApp group where you said कि यार ये India-Pakistan matches होने ही नहीं चाहिए, at least 2023 में तो World Cup के दौरान नहीं होने चाहिए. And I almost took it half in jest कि यार चलो, it's one of those provocative statements people make on Twitter for likes and retweets. तुमने खैर WhatsApp पे किया था. But now, having had this conversation with you and having revisited this episode, yeah, I think there's a lot of merit in what you said, yeah.
हाँ यार, I mean, I seriously feel कि नहीं होने चाहिए मैचेस. I know कि हम इसमें दो चीजों पे पॉइंट आउट करेंगे कि एक, ऑन फील्ड it was very friendly and it was very friendly. There is no doubt about that. The way both sets of players from India and Pakistan, दोनों बहुत ही solid spirit में खेले. You saw that after the match, Kohli hugging Pakistani players and दोनों साइड से they were sharing jokes and laughing even after whatever the result was. So full marks on that. Sportsmanship on field, 100%. But हम अगर जो ये कहना चाहेंगे कि यार क्रिकेट कैन बी दिस होल हीलर एंड यूनाइट करेगा, वो नहीं कर रहा है ना यूनाइट. आई मीन, बाहर के जो लोग हैं वो इतने मैच्योर नहीं है, एज मैच्योर एज द प्लेयर्स ऑफ बोथ टीम्स हु आर प्लेइंग. एंड आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग ऑफ people like you and me who are inconsequential in the larger scheme of things. We're talking about important people from both side of the borders. Politicians, former cricketers, other influencers. Everyone is just stoking fire. They're just hate ही वो लोग सिर्फ spread कर रहे हैं ये मैच को लेकर. हम ये पॉडकास्ट रिकॉर्ड कर रहे हैं ऑन अ वेडनेसडे. 3 दिन पूरे हो गए ये मैच खत्म होकर, एंड अब तक there are people from both sides of the border who are just adding fuel to the fire. And it does not make sense at all. And ऐसा नहीं कि वो मतलब कोई छोटी चीजें बोल रहे हैं. It is just getting nastier by the day. And the reason I also believe कि 2023 में मैचेस नहीं होने चाहिए, एक तो इंडिया में कहीं पर मैचेस होंगे, तो आप 100% ही अज्यूम कर लो कि जो भी होगा, it won't be straightforward, that match, in terms of whatever happens around the stadium and around the venue. And also, it will be a year where in both countries, the political tensions will be very high because elections दोनों साइड पे होंगे. इंडिया में एक साल बाद होंगे, I think पाकिस्तान में same year होगा. And you know how politicians will try to use this if the match happens in 2023. तो यार इतना अगर जो टेंशन लेकर किसी को खेलना और फिर उसमें मतलब प्लेयर्स पे एक्स्ट्रा प्रेशर आ जाएगा, मतलब उनका तो मेंटली आई कांट इवन इमेजिन व्हाट दे हैव टू गो थ्रू. एंड देन यू ऐड टू इक्वेशन समथिंग दैट हैपेंड टू शमी आफ्टर the match on Sunday, you add that to the equation and it just keeps on getting worse. तो अगर जो इतना टेंशन लेकर खेलना है तो आप खेलो ही मत. I mean, cricket is supposed to unite people. पर अगर जो एक बात नहीं खेल के अगर जो वो ज्यादा डिविजन से बचाएगा तो आप ना खेलो तो ही बेटर है.
Super, yeah, that gives us the headline for this episode. और चलिए, I would like to apologize to the listeners. Background में काफी ज़्यादा there's a lot of jackhammering and dogs barking and everything going on. But आप लोग गालियाँ मत दीजिएगा मुझे. I just had an off day. And yeah, on that note, let's wrap up for today. Stay tuned to the Express Sports podcast for game time every Saturday, as well as the aforementioned World Cup locker room the morning after every India match at the T20 World Cup. But more importantly, stay safe. Adios.
You were listening to Express Sports by the Indian Express. This week's show was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar and produced by me, Shashank Bhargav. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it. Share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at Express Podcasts and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.